You're watching Mental Health with Marcie, and I'm Marcie. In today's video, I'm going to review the movie Dear Evan Hansen. And this movie covers a lot of mental health topics, including anxiety, depression, and suicide. So if that is a triggering topic for you, you are welcome to click away. But I wanted to share a little bit about the movie and my thoughts on it. And so a short synopsis is we're back in high school. Oh God. And of course, there's struggles and mental health struggles that come along with it. And so it follows a boy who is struggling with mental health, and as an assignment to his therapist, he writes a letter to himself, Dear Evan Hansen, and then it ends up in the hands of another boy who is also struggling and ends up dying by suicide. And so his family thinks that he had written that letter, the boy who died. And so then the main character ends up building this relationship with that family, under the guise that he was friends with this boy when he really wasn't. And so that's the short version. Feel free to watch the movie to find out for yourself. And my first kind of thoughts on it is I loved it. So that's my short review. If you don't want to hear the details, that's fine. But I personally really liked it. It again is always in personal taste, but I just really love that the idea of mental health is just becoming so much more mainstream, and just seeing that representation on the big screen. I watched it in theaters. Crazy, right? Kind of was. But like seeing that is just it's just kind of insane. Honestly, I know that it's been coming a lot more in shows and other, celebrities coming out with their mental health conditions as well. And so it's just, to me, just felt amazing just seeing myself on the big screen. And so I will say a couple of things to be aware of. Number one, it's a musical. So that would be the main thing that probably would deter people from watching it if they're not musical people. And I'm not really a musical person either. That's not really my style. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a chance. And I didn't find the songs, distracting from the movie. It really just like brought the plot along. So I didn't find it to be a bad thing. But if you like really hate musicals, then probably not your thing. Also, I did like happen to connect with a few of the songs, and so you can access the songs after the fact via soundtrack wherever you stream your music. And so that's pretty cool. One benefit is that if you kind of connect with some of the songs, then you can listen to them later. And so I did like that. The other thing to be aware of, I think it can be triggering a bit depending on what you've been through. And so again, this movie covers suicide, and that is a heavy topic. And especially if you've been touched by suicide in any way, it can be hard, to watch that. So that's something to be aware. If you haven't seen it, you're not sure if that's going to be a triggering topic for you, might be one to skip. Otherwise, I think it just kind of stirred a little bit of emotions in me, I guess. No, I wasn't necessarily triggered, but just kind of like all the feels, I guess, that it's like, oh my God, like, yes, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like, yes, this is exactly how I feel. Like, you're just like in my mind. And it's just, yeah, it's a little bit emotional. So if you are at, some kind of state, maybe when you're changing meds like me, then you might get emotional about things that are unnecessarily so. But that's just something to keep in mind if your mental health is at a little bit of a shaky stage. You might want to skip or wait or watch with a friend. That's always helpful too. I don't think it again goes into like super triggering areas or anything like that, but it's just for each person, everyone has, of course, different triggers and things that do set them off. So I just want to make sure everyone is safe and healthy and informed. But that being said, all those warnings, again, I freaking loved it. For me, really what came across as the most impactful was the realness of it, and that it's like, let's actually talk about this shit that we're going through. Like, it's like when I saw kind of the most impactful scene in the movie, there he was talking to basically what can I call her? The most ambitious girl in high school, right? Which is like, yeah, that was me too. But she's, high school president, on all the clubs, like very on it. I can't snap with what is this, my right hand? This is my left hand. Yes. She's very on it, on everything. Clearly I'm not, which is fine. But she's like real high performing. And so I just loved that scene where, he just was like, what are you talking about? Cause she's like, oh, well, there's a lot of people like us out there. And it just goes to show that you can't see it, right? This disability, it's invisible. And it's like the highest performing people, like that's me, like can struggle. And you might not know that someone's depressed. I mean, a lot of people tell me like I don't look like a depressed person because I've got my flower, my bear. I mean, I don't always have my bear, which is unfortunate. But on that note, I did have to perhaps change my flower. I had a different flower, but it didn't really match the bear. So, and did I put pigtails in just to try to make it look like I don't always look the same in my videos? Perhaps, but I digress. What was I even talking about? Oh, that scene. Yeah, that didn't take long for my brain to lose its brain power, which is fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, it was just so real for them to talk about, like, hey, like this can happen to a lot of us, and there's a lot of us out there, and really the medication as well. They he was just so direct. He was like, oh, what are you on? And no one talks about their medication. No one does. Like, it's just a hidden thing. It's like shameful that anyone's on any kind of medication. And so for them to just come out so openly with that was like the emotion. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, yes, like, let's talk about this. And it's so freaking scary. So I just love that. I think a lot of people beyond me probably just don't feel so alone. That's what I found. I mean, one of the songs, it was like, you will be found. So you're not going to be alone. But just the whole premise of the movie and the whole, like, how it was put together, it just like made me feel like, wow, like I am not the only one like going through this. And like, there's so many of us out there, and it's not something to be ashamed of. And so that's for me why I really connected with it. And also that there's, I guess, a message of hope in there as well. It's not like, oh, you're just gonna deal with your mental health conditions and that friggin' sucks. There's really that kind of, I think, inspirational arc, but in a way that's realistic, I think. It's not like, oh, we just cured his depression, blah, blah, blah. It's more so, okay, we have support people here. Like, there's the realness of that, like, people with mental health conditions hide it. And again, yes, I do. And it's when he was really able to come out with, what he was going through and realize he has that support system to make it through. That's really inspirational. And I think that's just a great message of hope for a lot of us out there who may be grasping at straws because we don't have the hope. And so I really loved how that hope was out there. And so another thing, yes, I have like a piece of paper right here of the things I wanted to say. So, I was wanting to be prepared. So then, yeah, so now I can look at my paper. I'm really good at this, clearly. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was just how supportive of LGBTQ plus folks the movie. And so there was like throughout there's like some signs and stuff, and I just like they were very like thoughtfully placed of like supporting LGBTQ, having like side characters just like mention LGBT relations. Like that's just to me was really impactful. Like I saw it, and it's just great to spread more awareness and again have more representation with LGBT as well, because as many of us know, mental health is very prevalent in the LGBTQ community. And so just having that representation as well and throwing those references out there, I think made a huge impact on me, and I think a lot of other people in the LGBTQ community as well. So I liked that. And then, do I have anything else on my list? No, I did everything on my list. Shit. This is fine. Like I said, everything is fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's great. But yeah, again, it just was a great movie in my opinion. I kind of want to see it again. I think it's one I could see again. And then also, I've been listening to the songs, but almost I have to be careful because it makes me a little bit emotional, especially at my emotional state that I am. And so, I have to make sure I'm not like making myself more depressed by like getting into it. So just remember, if you are in a state where you're just kind of a little shaky, or there are specific triggers around suicide or other mental health topics, you might want to skip it. But otherwise, I would totally recommend anyone to watch it because it made a huge impact on me and made me feel like I wasn't so alone and that I can, have that hope. And that's why this bear has like wings on it so it can fly away and have hope. So I'll probably stop talking now before I embarrass myself anymore, although I'm not really embarrassed, but I do hope that you all stay well. So thank you so much for watching, and stay well, my friends.